Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. Yep, it's me, Arden Moore. Now, this show marks a milestone episode. It is number 100. And to celebrate, we reached out to whom I think is one of the planet's biggest animal advocates. Guess what? He said yes. All right. He has built a reputation as a super cat advocate. He calls himself Nathan the Cat Lady, but he's now helping beagles and pigs and the occasional possum. Please welcome back to our show, my friend and a champion for all animals in need, Nathan Kehn. Welcome back, Nathan.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me back on.
And an honor for those, I am actually wearing a Cat Rock It Out shirt from the amazing Acro Cats. Because I don't play guitar. I played, the glockenspiel in high school. So I would play you some songs, some jams, but they're all in my head. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Nathan the Cat Lady. You all know him. He's got over 400,000 people on Facebook. He's got zillions on TikTok everywhere. He has built this little kingdom. But we are now speaking with a new Nathan. This is Nathan 2.0. And that's another reason why I wanted you on the show, because you have done a lot to help cats. And then you get a phone call, and it's from a group from Beagle Freedom Project. They called Nathan the Cat Lady. Well, tell us, what was this all about?
So the initial call a few months back, they had rescued, I believe it was 7 cats from a testing lab. And they said, hey, we're Beagle Freedom Project, but we rescue cats too. But we need help getting the word out about these cats. And all of our people are dog people.
Okay.
And so posting cats on their dog page, they just don't get anywhere. So they asked if I would help share. I did. And we ended up getting homes for either fosters or adopted for all 7 cats, which was fantastic. And then they reached out again. I'm going to say it was a month and a half ago at this point.
Okay.
And they said, hey, we're doing something big. We just purchased the land and the animals away from a testing lab. And they got 180 beagles and 80 cats. And they were like, we want to turn the space into a sanctuary and a cat cafe. Do you want to come out and just be there to cut the red tape? And I was like, actually, can I do more? And they're like, sure. What'd you have in mind? So I ended up reaching out to a bunch of my sponsors. Nice job, Pickles. Reaching out to a bunch of my sponsors.
One of his favorite cats at home is Pickles. Go ahead, keep going.
And I ended up getting 18 or 19 sponsors to donate what amounted to about $150,000 worth of product.
Nice. Now, let's talk about this. This is outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, in a place called Nowata, which I never heard of before. The only place I know in Oklahoma is Ardmore, Oklahoma. I've been there once. I tried to tell them my name was Arden Moore, and they all looked at me really strangely. And I was like, well, maybe I could be the mayor. I'd be nonpartisan. What do you think, Nathan?
Oh, I fully support this. I would vote for you. So, and if it's anything like Nowata, I would make up half their population. So I think you would win.
All right. But let's also goof aside. This is a big deal. This was a flea and tick testing. And I got to tell you, Nathan, I've been in the pet world for 25 years. I can't believe they're still doing some of this. Can you just dive in and let people know? Because Beagle Freedom Project, BFP.org, is saving lives. But what's going on there? What was some that opened your eyes?
Yeah, so I didn't know they were doing this kind of testing either. And basically what they were doing is, for at least the cats, they were putting them in tiny little cages with cones on so they couldn't scratch, and then covering them in fleas and trying different chemicals and stuff on them. And even the animals that weren't being tested, they just were not in good living conditions. The dogs outside, it was getting down to 0 degrees, and all they had was a little igloo with some hay in it. So they were their water was freezing over, and they're in an electric fence. The dogs inside are just in small little kennels. I mean, no daylight, and they just, every day they come and spray the ground by their feet to spray away all the poop and pee into a trough that goes outside. And they just miserable.
How small were those places? I mean, we're talking New York City apartments or hotel rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say 4 by 6.
Wow.
Probably. And at the back there was no like soft bed. There was just an elevated little cot with like a plastic mesh that they could lay on. So they don't even really have a soft bed. They don't have toys. We actually, I had a couple toy sponsors and we tried giving them toys, but since they don't know what a toy is, they kept trying to eat them, and we had to take them to the vet because they were eating the rubber and like the Kongs. So we have to slowly teach them that this is a toy, not food, but they've just never been given enrichment. So they're like, oh, if you're giving me something, I'm supposed to eat it. But it's just not the case.
Now, you've done a lot of cat rescues. I'm really impressed with you. You're aligned with some places in LA, some cat alliance groups. You've been all over the place helping cats. This had to be quite an eye opener for you to see what's happening to the beagles.
Yeah, I never seen anything like this. And to be in a place with 180 beagles that were all just miserable, just crying and whimpering, and it wasn't even for food. Like you'd go to give them treats and they're like, no, I just want attention. They just wanted to be loved on. That's why we were like so desperate. Like, hey, we need volunteers because we need fans. We need people out there walking the dogs, petting the dogs, giving them attention. But yeah, it was quite the eye opener to see just how bad it was. And they're not alone. I mean, this was one facility, but they're about to get 40 beagles from somewhere else in the US that they're rescuing and bringing to Beagle Freedom Project. So, they're going to be up to, 220 beagles shortly.
Now, how long were you there? And I know you didn't get much sleep.
I did not get much sleep. I was there the 13th through the 19th of February. And yeah, I was pretty much up at 7 every day. And because what I was doing, so with all the donations and everything I was able to get for them, they agreed to name the Cat Cafe after me. So it's
Nathan's. Come on, you gotta win. We got to do a little drum roll.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
It is going to be officially called
Nathan's Cat Lady Lounge. Super exciting stuff. So yeah, so I was like, yeah, they're like, yeah, we have to build walls. We have to build the space out. And I was like, I was a handyman and a carpenter. I can help. I didn't realize.
You also are an actor. And I think it's interesting because as an actor, you really have to have other gigs that pay bills. So you weren't waiting on tables. You were making tables.
Pretty much. I mean, I've had every odd job in my lifetime. I've had such a weird plethora of odd jobs. Handyman and carpenter. I was on a landscaping crew. I was a mechanical bull operator. I was a camera operator for Invesco Field.
Wait a minute. Slow back. Rewind. A mechanical bull operator?
That's right. Yeah.
So I think I would operate the machine better than have some family jewels at risk.
No. I mean, I would ride it, but only if I trusted the operator. Because I think most people don't realize it's not just a button. You don't just hit a button and it just goes. Mm-hmm. There's different joysticks. I control every turn, every bounce, everything. And once you get good at it, oh man, if I wanted you off, I wanted you to hit the railing, I can do whatever I want. If you're on the bowl, you better have tipped me at the tip jar. Otherwise it could get messy.
You may not have the jewels for the family. All right.
Exactly. I was doing more TNRs than Sterling, I'll tell you that much.
That's funny. So with this, you were building, framing things. Tell us some of your construction things you did there. We've got about a minute before the break.
Yeah, so it was a lot more than I thought. I got there day one. I went and bought over $2,000 worth of tools and supplies to get going. And yeah, I basically had to rip down an entire wall that was a temporary wall they had built. And I had to take it apart, take all the screws out because I needed to repurpose that wood. And then I was building the frame for the new room. So I was drilling into steel above and concrete below, which is concrete's easier than steel, but steel was not easy. I was breaking bits and it was a lot, especially as one person.
And you found a Home Depot or a Lowe's in this rural area?
No, there's one in Bartlesville, which is 20 minutes away. So anytime a drill bit broke, it was a 20-minute drive there and a 20-minute drive back. So it just ate into the time so much.
So you're building the framing for inside because what's going to be happening for this place as it converts from a nasty flea and tick testing lab to a sanctuary?
So the biggest building we were in, we're dividing that up into sections. So we're going to have one for the beagles. We're going to have one section that's going to be the cat cafe where people can come visit, adopt cats, all of that. And then the other space is going to be like a little space for them to get away, have their litter boxes, little condos. So we just basically needed to start putting up dividing walls. And, they're vaulted ceilings too. So everything had to be cut at the right angle and going in diagonals. And My geometry was very well tested.
Your geometry teacher is very proud right now. Hey,
Absolutely.
we're speaking with Nathan Kehn, aka Nathan the Cat Lady. He's doing a good thing in Oklahoma. He lives in the LA area. He's been in movies. You got to check out Cat Data. But we're going to talk more with our very special milestone episode guest after we take this break. So sit, stay, sit, purr. You pick. We'll be right back.
Hey, have you heard? Four-Legged Life has a new digital newsletter. Here, let me show you how you get yourself subscribed. So you just type in Four-Legged Life, and that'll take you to the website. There we go. And this magic thing just appears, and you type in your email address. I'll use, let's see, how about coolestdogever@gmail.com. That's me. And then you just click on this thing here. There you go. It's the new digital newsletter from Four-Legged Life. Get subscribed today.
Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. We're talking with Nathan Kehn, aka Nathan the Cat Lady, and we're talking about him helping beagles. Nathan, growing up, I had a beagle rescue, and my dad got him from the pound. Her from the pound. That's what they called it back then. In Crown Point, Indiana, we had a lake in our backyard, and he named her Crackers. Don't ask me why. And we overfed Crackers, and she was then nicknamed Pickle Barrel. But there's something about beagles. And some of the clips that you posted on social media, there was one particular beagle that just said, "Oh my God, I'm in love with Nathan the Cat Lady." Tell us a little bit about that connection. That was all love, not for treats.
That was the thing. There was a bunch of beagles outside, and this one in particular would just cry whenever I would go outside. And it was so sad. I'd go over and put my hand over the cage or the fence, and I would start scratching her chin, and she would just sit and squeak and whimper while I was petting her. And one day I finally was like, I'm going to climb over. So I climbed over, and she snuggled up on me. But as soon as I would climb out, she would start crying and bark, like the saddest crying and barking you ever heard. And again, she wasn't hungry. It was just, she just needed human connection. But because I did a video with her, somebody in Texas reached out that they actually wanted to adopt her. So last I heard, she has an adopter coming out from Texas, which would be amazing.
That would be nice.
But yeah,
there was another one. You actually had a date, like a picnic.
Yeah,
Hopper? Hopper?
Yeah,
Tell us about Hopper.
Oh, it was Janet.
Janet, my bad. Okay, Janet.
Janet was a cute little beagle with this adorable little underbite. And she was the only kennel that could see me work, like where I was building.
Okay.
So all day, she just sat and stared at me and whimpered and climbed the gate and just all day. And so I'd go and give her a little chin scratch and then back to work and back, And one day I was like, I'm going to take her outside. I can't do it for all of them, but me and Janet are going to go on a little picnic. So I grabbed some, which was one of the food sponsors. And we just went out and took her out on the leash. And she was just so excited to run in the grass and sat down and gave her a little picnic. And it was really cool to see how she turned around and how her personality changed when she got outside.
Well,
it was hard
that, Nathan. If you were in a 4x6 or whatever proportionate for us is 2-leggers, and you never got to put your feet on grass or never really got to see the sky without any blockage. Yeah. I mean, can you put yourself in her place?
I can't. I honestly, and it's going to sound cold, but I couldn't let myself go there when I was there. Because I'd go to pet her, and then all of them would start crying and whimpering, and I'd give them a little attention, and I just had to kind of shut that off. Because if I kept thinking about, they're so sad, like I need to do, it pulled me away from the greater good, I guess, what the end goal. So I would every once in a while, I'd be like, I'm going to go give some love. I'd go give some love, but then I had to be like, no, I need to get back, and I need to get back to building. I need to get back to because I needed to build them their new space.
I like that. And what about the cats? There was one named Peach.
Peach, yep. So Peach got an adopter in California. So they asked if I would bring Peach back with me, which was pretty awesome.
So you flew back with Peach or drove back?
I flew back. Okay. We had a 12-hour travel day.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Pretty wild. But, Peach, she did really well. She didn't complain. She didn't meow. She just kind of sat there and, she's very shut down. She came from a different testing lab.
What kind of markings and how old do you think she was? And what was...
I'm not sure how old she was. Her hair was starting to fall out a little bit. just from stress,
right? And chemicals. Yeah,
exactly. So it was hard to see for sure.
but you had another one, Miko.
Oh yeah, Miko. Oh yeah, Miko. I was trying to think, but I remember because Miko's name is spelled, it was like EEKO. It was very, yeah, Miko he was sweet. I would walk by the cages and he would climb up the cage and reach through for me and rub his face on the cage. And man, when you pick that cat up, all he wanted was love. Like he would rub his face all over yours. Like, man, it really should, like, those cats need enrichment. They need something. I mean, we're doing everything we could.
Well, they didn't even have their own like litter boxes that are really appropriate, right? They don't have scratching posts. These are things you and I take for granted. You tell us about your spoiled wonder that you love, Peaches, and what kind of things do you do for Peaches that you hope when people see about the Beagle Freedom Project, they're going to get a cat or a dog or both and know some of the things that really are important for their mental and physical enrichment.
Yeah. And so one of the things we did for them, like you said, the litter boxes, all they had was like a little, I'm going to say maybe 8x8 little metal pans.
Yikes.
And the cats were trying to like straddle the litter box and like just, it was no good. So I went and bought 20 tubs and cut out an entrance and filled it with Catalyst Litter, who was one of our sponsors. And yeah, the cats immediately started using them. They were digging. They were able to bury their stuff. Like, game changer for them. They didn't only a couple.
I mean, can you imagine living in LA and only having access to an outhouse?
No, I mean, no, I'm just saying, like, they had nothing. They were treated worse than we treat prisoners. Like, it was horrible. And Pet Libro had donated 15 cat towers.
Okay.
So one day I sat on the floor and built 15 cat towers and put one in each cat kennel. So each cat had a new tower to play on, which was really cool. But yeah, it was a lot, and little things went a long way with them. Even the cat towers, every time I went back, there was 2 or 3 cats on each cat tower. The litter boxes, they were using those because before they were missing their litter box half the time and it was spilling out and it was disgusting.
Ugh. Well, we've talked about beagles. We've talked about cats. Let's go hog wild. What did you do for the piggies?
My piggies. So Beagle Freedom had 6 pigs, I believe, that they had rescued from another lab.
How big are these guys? Are they pretty good size? Pretty good sized pigs?
Oh yeah, especially Mama. She is a big girl. And they rescued them and had them in LA the last couple of years. Decided now we've got space. We got 33 acres. So they had a barn delivered, like a small little barn.
Oh, cool.
But it was like 4 feet up or not 4 feet, probably right 2-3 feet up. And they had these little janky ramps, but the mama would not go down the ramps. And the other ones they would, but they would like slide.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were like, "Hey, can you build pig stairs?" Which is not a sentence anyone has ever said.
Is this the first time you've ever been asked that?
I think that's the first time anybody's been asked that. I don't think anyone has ever built stairs for pigs.
All right, you're channeling your inner pig, Nathan. Yeah. What are you thinking? Because you got, carpentry talents. What makes it a pig stair?
That's the thing. And I even made some alterations, and I didn't have time to like blueprint and draw out, and like usually I like to sketch everything before I build it. Not on this trip. I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to need 4x4s that are pressure treated. So I just bought like 4 of those. I bought some, and I thought they'd be wide enough. When they seemed wide enough, they were like 12-inch, like 2x12s, pressure treated. Like everything was pressure treated because of the weather out there. But yeah, I just started digging post holes and made sure the weight was good. And then I watched one pig go up. It was good, but it seemed like even with their little nubby legs, I was like, we need a half step in between. So I added half steps. So it's just tiny little steps all the way up. So it was like almost ramp, but like with some steps, a lot more sturdy, obviously.
So you love big pigs and you cannot lie?
Exactly. So
they
yeah.
supervise you because they're highly intelligent. Were they making sure
yeah.
doing everything?
They were great at just getting in my way at every turn. They started opening the cement bags. They would grab my tools and walk away with them. And
pig humor,
Exactly. So I was definitely babysitting while building, which was exciting.
Hey, we're speaking with Nathan, the cat lady. His name is Nathan Kehn. I want you to check out his sites. Give us real quick. I know everybody should know it, but give us a few places to find you.
Yeah, in most places, it's Nathan the Cat Lady, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Snapchat, I believe it's Cat Lady Nathan because was what I had to do. So Cat Lady Nathan on Snapchat. And my website, which now has new merch, is nathanthecatlady.com.
And how do people find out about the Beagle Freedom Project in Oklahoma if they want to help out?
Yeah, you can go to Beagle Freedom on Instagram and all the social medias. And then you can also go to their website, which I believe is bfg.org.
BFP.
bfp.org. There we go.
Okay. I'm telling you.
That doesn't sound right. bfp.org.
Hey guys, we're going to dive in a little bit more about what Nathan, the Cat Lady 2.0 is up to after we take this break. So sit, stay, purr, groom, whatever you want to do. We'll be right back.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore, and this is episode number 100. 100. What do you think, Nathan? We picked you to be our man, the spotlight.
I'm honored to be a guest 100. That's fantastic. I love that.
And humbly, our show for 2 years in a row has been voted the best radio show by the Dog Writers Association of America. Nathan, they didn't give me a car. They just got me a medal.
Well, I think the third time's the charm.
Okay.
Sure.
Maybe I'll get the car. Maybe I'll get electric
It's
car.
coming. It's coming.
So we want to dive in. Nathan, the Cat Lady, you weren't born with that moniker. What was it about cats growing up, and where did you grow up that said real men love cats?
So I grew up in Boulder, Colorado,
Mhm.
and I just always had cats. We grew up with 3 cats and 2 dogs, and that was just kind of always the sweet spot. You know, we'd have 3 cats and 2 dogs. So like most cat lovers, I love dogs too, and all animals. Something about cats. I actually wanted to go into zoology for a while and study
Really?
big cats. Yeah.
So how many sibs you got?
I have 2 older brothers.
Okay. 2 older brothers, and you survived them?
Yeah, which is surprising because I'm the runt of the litter. So I was 6'1", and my oldest brother is 6'6", and the next one down is 6'5". So I'm the runt of the litter. And
Do you run the fastest?
I do run the fastest, actually. Yeah, I'm the fastest sprinter. But yeah, no, they toughened me up real quick. So
So growing up, zoology was something, but you look like a young Brad Pitt. I'm just going to tell you that. It's a compliment for him, not you. You're better looking than him. But I'm just teasing. But it's not just looks. There's a lot. It's really hard to get into acting. And you got to admit, you were a model for whom?
A model for a few different. I mean, I was in Cosmo a couple of times. Yeah, I started the modeling circuit when I was like 19. I moved to New York and started modeling.
How hard was that to go from Colorado to New York?
It was rough, almost as hard as going from Colorado to LA, because it's crazy. Colorado, LA, and New York, they all have their different mentalities.
Yeah.
New York is very cold, very harsh. LA is very phony, nice, and deceitful. You got to get used to that. And it's just the mentality of the people in these different places. I had to learn pretty quick, but I'm glad I did it because now I feel like I can adapt anywhere I go. I can kind of just like, oh, it's these types of people. Okay, turn this side. It's kind of interesting. But
what kind of modeling did you do?
Oh, I mean, anything I could really do. I did some stuff for Diesel at one point. I did a little bit of runway during Fashion Week. I had a hard time with runway though because I couldn't take it seriously. Something about keeping a straight face and walking.
You prefer your 4-legged catwalk, right? Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. If we're doing a catwalk, it's going to be with these little kiddos. But yeah,
but that had to pay the bills, but it didn't. You had to do many jobs, didn't you?
It did not pay the bills. Male modeling is. Well, I mean, it's very much a dying industry now. A lot of the agencies I was with have shut down, and I hate to use the word scam, so I'm not going to. But for instance, when I was in New York, I was living in a model apartment, which was like 14 guys living in a 2-bedroom house.
Are you kidding? 14 guys? Yeah. That's a lot of flushing.
I had a cot in the living room. That was my bed. Was a cot in the living room, and I was paying $850 a month to a tab. So basically, you got a tab for that. You had a tab for being on their website, which was like $60 to $100 a month. And then you had a tab for messenger fees, because this was a time when if they wanted your book to go somewhere, they would actually take a CD of your photos and ride a bike to the agencies and stuff. And so you would have all these occurring fees nonstop. And so you would do Cosmo, you would do a photo shoot here, you would do a dress book for these people, all these things. And at the end of the month, you'd be like, okay, cool, I made like $3,000. And they're like, oh yeah, but you owe us 3,500. So you still owe us 500. And so
Wow.
on top of working for them, at the time, I was still doing online courses for school. And then I was working full time at Hollister because they were one of the few places that let you leave for auditions and castings. So, and then I was going to the gym. So I pretty much was full time from, 7, 8 in the morning until like 9 o'clock at night and still not making ends meet.
Well, you've been in some movies, Finding Love in Big Sky. You played Sam Lake, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I also want to know about you played Officer Strawberry in Grief.
I love Officer Strawberry. Yeah, and Grief. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Give me a line in his talk.
Oh man, Officer Strawberry.
Tee us up. Tell us what.
So Officer Strawberry, which that was a fun one because I knew I booked that one the second I got the call back, just because when I first read it, I was like, oh, I know this. It's a cop. He's a comical cop, and I specifically put gum in my mouth for the audition, which normally you should not do. That's like a risky choice. But I was chewing gum the entire audition. And then I got the call back, and on the script it said, while chewing gum. And they had made that adjustment to the script for the callback. And I was like, oh, I got this role. I got this role. But yeah, it's a funny scene where these two cops, there's the straight edge cop, and we're both like deadpan, but it's just, they go to a disturbance and they look down and realize that they're standing on a broken pot. And there's just one line that always got people where the officer says like, oh, my boss says like, yeah, let's leave it alone. And I look at him and say, but I'm standing on broken terracotta, sir. And it's just this awkward line where I'm chewing gum, standing on broken terracotta. It's just, I don't know. It was a really fun role. That was one of my earlier roles.
I like it. And then because of what you do for cats, you got to be in a documentary. Tell us about Cat Daddies with our friend Nathan Trap King Davis.
Sterling Trap King Davis.
Yeah.
Yep.
I changed his name. He's your name now.
We know what we worked so much together.
From a different mother, right?
Exactly. You can merge us into one person.
Sterling Trap King.
So Sterling, yeah. So Cat Daddies is awesome documentary that filmed during COVID, and I didn't realize the scale of how big it was going to be. They were just like, "Oh, we're doing a documentary about Cat Daddies. Do you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Sure." And we filmed it, and I kind of forgot about it. And then like a year or more later, they're like, "Hey, do you want to go to the premiere?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." I completely forgot. And it is a beautiful documentary showcasing all sorts of different cat dads from all around the world or all around the country. One of them, David, he's like a homeless guy living in New York who's got these crippling disabilities, but he spends all of his time taking care of his cat, Lucky. And it's so beautiful. And it's doing really well. I think actually 2 nights ago, I just heard that it's on HBO in Japan now, which is pretty wild. Like
Japan loves cats, right? That's a big cat place. So what does it mean to you to be a cat daddy and be a flaming heterosexual?
I like that. Flaming heterosexual. Yeah, you know what? It's huge because when I started this, I mean, obviously cat lady was a terrible stereotype to have. And cat dads, nobody talked about being a guy who likes cats. Like if you talk about like, oh yeah, I'm a guy who likes cats, you immediately got put into this like feminine, less masculine, like, oh, he's a cat guy. Oh, wow. And so when I started Nathan the Cat Lady, I was like, oh, I'm going to lean into this so hard. And that's why I was rocking the bathrobe, drinking red wine. Like if I could put my hair in curlers, I would have. Like I was doing everything I could to just like own the stereotype and then be like, hey, look, I accept. I mean, you can see right here for those watching, there's the cartoon of me in the red bathrobe with cat slippers. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to own it and I'm going to make it cool. And what's funny is in 2019, I went to CatCon and they asked me, they were like, hey, what is
tell for folks where it is.
Oh yeah. CatCon is in Pasadena, California. It's once a year. It's a huge convention. It's like 20,000 people. That's a great event. And it was my first time there. And I don't remember the publication, but I was doing an interview and they said, what's one of your goals? And I said, I want to make cat dads and cats as trendy as dogs. And they were like, oh, okay, sure. Like, that's a fun goal. And then was it 4 years later? Yeah, it was last year, beginning of last year, I got an email from a magazine saying, hey, we wanted to reach out because Cat Dads is now trending with like billions of hashtags and it's huge. And we wanted to talk to you about how Cat Dads is now trending. And I was like, dang, it's amazing what 4 years can do. From like, nobody talks about it. There wasn't very many cat dads. And now there's cat dads all over the place, you know? And I've had people talk to me like, oh, so how do you feel about there being multiple cat dads now? Like there's competition. And I was like, it's not competition. That's the same team. You know, that's what I wanted was everybody being proud. Like, hey, we have cats. Who cares? Like if anything, like having cats, like, you know, people say that makes you like less masculine. If you ever played with a cat, you get cut up. You gotta have some masculinity to play with cats.
Hey, we're speaking with Nathan Kehn, aka Nathan the Cat Lady, aka Regional Cat Daddy. And we're going to come back after we take this final break. Sit, meow, purr, groom, bark, whatever you do. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I got my pal on, Nathan Kehn, a.k.a. Nathan the Cat Lady. And I got to tell you, I agree with it. My brother's a very masculine guy. He was a Navy Seabee for 20 years, and he always has had a cat.
Amazing.
And I remember when he was dating, and they would say, they didn't read his thing, and they said, well, you have pets? Oh, well, at least you don't have a cat, do you? And Kevin says, I do. And I like him. His name's Logger. Because I found out that a lot of dudes name their cats kind of macho names, except for you. You named your cat what?
Mine are all, there's Pickles, there's Ginger, and Annie. Yeah, so they're, pretty, I mean, I haven't really named them masculine, but yeah, it's amazing how many people on dates or, you know, whatever they say, oh, you have cats? Oh, gross. I've seen it in people's dating profiles on, you know, Hinge or whatever. It'll say, you know, love this, hate cats. It's like, is it really so bad that you have to put it in the bio? But it's kind of nice because for me, it's just them flaunting their red flags. And it's like, because for me, if you hate cats that much, that's a character flaw to me. And that's not because for me, if to love a cat, you have to have patience, you have to have understanding and understand boundaries. And for somebody who doesn't and who hates cats that much, I'm like, oh, you're not patient. You don't have boundaries. Okay, cool. So you just don't know how to, you know, that just tells me how they're going to be in a relationship and it's not good. So if you
the sound of your voice is beckoning Pet Safety Cat Casey. He's our orange tabby here. And Nathan, he is my BFF. He's my best feline friend. And I know I love my dogs, Kona and Emma, but I got to tell you, there's something magical to have a cat love you back.
I had one of my good buddies who he did not like my cats. He was allergic at the time. And he was just kind of like, oh, like, I don't want them on me, whatever. Long story short, he moved and one of his neighbors had an indoor cat and it started visiting him every day at noon. And so he started sitting with this cat on a bench every day and then started feeding it. And he would pet it every day and he would get hives on his arm. But eventually he built up an immunity like you do. And he no longer was allergic. And then, I mean, it's been a couple of years. The owner moved away and left the cat. And now my friend, he's claimed it as his cat. He takes care of the cat now every day. And he's like, oh my gosh, I never understood what it's like when the cat chooses you. He's like, it's so much better. Like, this is amazing. He is such a cat guy now. It is hilarious to me because he was just like, no cats. Now he's obsessed. And it's like, yeah, like once they choose you, it means the world.
It is nothing better. I got to tell you, we talked at the beginning that you are Nathan 2.0. We've talked about you helping out the beagles and the cats at the Beagle Freedom Project outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You've been to CatCon, but we want to now talk about what's your 5-year plan, because you're a man that has many talents, many skills, and you've done a lot of things. You scrap by to get things going. Things are starting to coalesce, right? I understand you even have like a business guru that's helping you out, Omar.
Yep. Yeah, my good buddy Omar from my early Abercrombie days. We've been reconnecting lately, and he is very successful in the stock trading industry. He's a day trader. He's also a fashion stylist for like Victoria's Secret. So he does very well for himself. And yeah, he's really been pushing me to kind of go from just being a content creator who gets by to like really growing this into a career. And last year, for some of you who don't know, I was working a full-time sales job, was a sales executive at a lead gen company. Lead generation. So like, if you ever go online and say, hey, I might want solar, here's my phone number. your phone number got sold to my company, who called solar companies and sold your number to
Oh my God.
not an ideal longevity plan, but it was paid good and it was flexible. And everyone there was super nice to work with. But I was doing that and social media and acting and the gym and my merch line and running my website and
That's
brand
too much,
deals. Like
Nathan.
everything.
Sound like
I
your
could.
aunt. Sorry, man. That's too much.
No, it was too much. And last August, I had 6 pet conventions across the country that I was paid to go to. And the 5th one, I ended up collapsing. We were in Vegas and I was filming and running around with Sterling and my heart seized up and I couldn't breathe and I went down and spent 2 days in the hospital. And after that, it was like, okay, it's time. So my buddy,
And you're a young dude. You're not even old enough to be president yet, are you? You have to be 30.
no, well, I don't know what the age is. I mean, it sounds like you
35.
have to be like 80 now, but I'm 34. So,
But and you got to stop this. Was this at Super Zoo or where were you?
Super Zoo. Yeah.
Okay.
This is in
Super Zoo
Vegas.
in Las Vegas, everyone, is a huge, huge pet convention. And you also had some issue with your palate because I saw you at Global in Orlando months earlier and you're in a lot of pain. You are not an out of shape guy. You're in a good shape and you have a good work ethic and a good exercise ethic, and you're young. This had to be a real smack to your.
It was. And I've forgotten to mention the surgery too. Yeah, I just come out of jaw surgery. So for those who are watching right now, I have a giant gap, smaller than it was.
He's cuter than Michael Strahan, everybody. Come on. Keep going.
But yeah, I had to have basically the front of my face broken open with a hammer and chisel.
Wow.
And then my palate spread open. So all of that stress on my body and everything, I collapsed. And then my buddy was like, dude, it's time. So Omar was like, quit your job. You can afford to not have it anymore. He's like, you need to move apartments because I had some really bad energy there with a roommate. We hadn't gone along in years. So
it's time to have
within
your
a
own
month,
place. Yeah. But it's hard in LA. I know. I lived in California 15 years. I understand.
It's tough. Yeah, it's pricey out here. But yeah, within a month of collapsing, I had quit my job of 8 years. I had moved apartments. I had gone full-time social media. Like a lot changed in that time. And now just recently he was like, all right, let's get your 5-year plan going. So behind me, covered up right now because I can't give all my secrets. Yeah, we've got...
Not going to let the cat out of the bag. Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's things like one of the goals this year was, or end of 5 years, I want to have a chain of cat cafes.
Okay.
And now we're 2 months in and I've got one cat cafe in Oklahoma now, you know? We've got some new merchandise and some products I'm working on building. I mean, I have a lot of things to accomplish.
Let's talk about each one. So what would make Nathan the Cat Lady's Cat Cafe a little bit stand out from others? Because you've seen a lot of cat cafes and people go in trends. What's the evolution of the Cat Cafe from your perspective?
I mean, me personally, one thing I want to do, I've got a bunch of ideas to make it just more Instagram friendly, I guess, because when people go there, a lot of times they're going to try and get posts and videos. And the more viral you go, the more attention, the more cats you can rescue. That's really, so I've got a bunch of ideas of how I want to build them out to make them really cool, very unique. I also, I'd love to make them just kind of fun, cool hangout spots, whether that means getting some TVs and N64s in there, get some old school gaming in there. I don't know, but something to make them unique and fun and become a cool hangout spot. But they're starting to pop up all over the country.
And speaking of that, you've created your own game that you can get on Android or Apple, right?
Nathan's Cat Craze. If you search Cat Craze, it'll come up. For some reason, Apple wouldn't let us put Nathan's, but just search Cat Craze, and it's a really fun game. You're playing as me. You basically adopt a bunch of cats, make them do tricks, and then earn coins and followers, and then you upgrade your apartment. So you build like new beds, new furniture, and for those of you who know my old apartment, I had bright red walls because why not? Yeah. And the place you start out in the game is my old apartment with the bright red walls, my couch, my furniture, everything. And you're building up from there, which is kind of ironic because the game was built and designed to eventually build up to a bigger apartment and bigger supplies before I actually did it in real life. So I actually evolved in real life before, it was just kind of interesting. The game came out and then I was like, well, I need to evolve my place. And I ended up moving into a way bigger space, which was nice.
And people can go to Nathan the Cat Lady, look at some of the merchandise that you have. It's good quality things and wear that shirt proudly because real men do love cats and you are the cat lady. But you did have a date with a possum named Horace. I mean, it was a dude night, I guess.
Yeah,
So
it was a bro
before we
date.
wrap this up. This is hilarious. Only in LA can you do what with a possum? Who's a pet possum?
I gave Horace the best day of his life. He's a buddy of mine. He's a possum, and he came from a possum rescue that I've worked with in the past. And I did a video with him a while back, just, telling people some fun facts because people don't know much about possums. And unfortunately, I phrased it, here's some fun facts. And the first one I said was they only live 3 to 4 years. Well, the video went crazy viral. I think Instagram had like 23 million views.
Oh, my
everybody was like, only 3 to 4 years? That's not a fun fact. That's so sad. But people couldn't handle it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I was like, so let's give Horace the best day of his life. So we went to the park. We had a picnic. We went on the swings. I took him to Starbucks for his first pup cup, which was hilarious.
And you tell how you transported him in your convertible.
Yeah, I had a little baby wrap that I had used for pickles one time, and he loved it. You just wrap him up real tight, and he just sat cradled on my chest and pulled through the drive-thru, and he sat and held the cup with both hands and cleaned it out. We went to the beach. We did
Wait a minute, but what was the LA reaction at the Starbucks? Come on.
It was depressing. I was so excited for them to be like, oh my gosh, a guy with a possum. And we had borrowed Omar has a Corvette or a convertible right now. We borrowed his convertible. Like we went all out and they were just like, oh, is this pup cup for him? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. I was like, you can't tell me you've seen a guy driving a convertible with a possum strapped to his chest before. There's no way. And she just totally not shook by it at all. It was very disappointing.
Well, you had me at possum. Hey, everybody. We have had a great time talking to a man making a huge difference with all kinds of animals. And he is Nathan Kehn. He is Nathan the Cat Lady. Please check it out. And how do people, again, I want you to find out about the Beagle Freedom Project, the website again for them.
Yep. It's bfp.org. And you can also go on my Instagram or theirs. We both have fundraisers going right now. Mine, I believe, is up to $13,000 that my page has raised since I went out there. So yeah, or they have one going right now, and I think their goal is 50,000. So yeah, either page, go and donate. It all goes to them anyways. But yeah, support.
You're being an influence, not just this influencer. You're making a difference. You're raising money. You're raising awareness. And when you do finally get to sleep at night, you must sleep like a kitten.
Oh my gosh. My head hits the pillow and I'm out, So it's, definitely tried. I took the weekend off actually after all these trips to recover a little bit, but yeah, we're going fast over here. I got a lot of goals to accomplish and that's not going to happen just sitting around. So.
Well, that is it for our show today. I want to give pause up to our special guest, Nathan Kehn, aka the Cat Lady. We want to get good messages out because cats, dogs, possums, pigs, you name it, they do a body good. They make us better humans. So until next time, this is your host, Arden Moore, just saying 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Pause up.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content. Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.